Yikes! I am definitely in the wrong part of town this evening, guys. Dylan Elias and Oliver Martin met when they were in grade 1, and they grew up here in the Rosedale neighborhood, and they spent a lot of time learning about each other and playing with each other here in Ramsden Park in Toronto, Canada. And a memorial was put up in this park in honor of both of them, and this oak tree here has a memorial for both of them. And 18 years on, the case of their unsolved murders still puzzles those in the Toronto Police Service. There are over 800 unsolved cases, cold cases in Toronto at the time of this recording. And in June 2008, the most perplexing cold case that is still on the case file of the cold cases here in Toronto is that of Dylan Ellis and Oliver Martin. And on the night of June 12th, 2008, they spent their evening watching the NBA championship playoffs of the Celtics against the Los Angeles Lakers, Game 4. They come here to Walnut Avenue and enjoyed a night with their old friends. And that evening, Oliver Martin and his girlfriend borrowed the keys to the apartment of their close friend Andrew Gilchrist, who was hosting the playoff watch party, to go get a bite to eat. And they returned to the building here on Walnut Avenue. And when the game was over, they were heading home. But when they reached Bathurst and Queen Street West here in Toronto, Canada, they received a call from Andrew Gilchrist telling them that they had taken the keys with them and they needed to return to this neighborhood where I am now to return the keys to Andrew. So Dylan, Oliver, and their female friend drove back to this neighborhood and parked in front of this building right here on Richmond Street West at 798 Richmond Street West. And they parked their vehicle right in front of this building here. With the engine still going, they contacted Andrew to let him know that they were parked here and he could come and get his keys to the gate at his building. Well, they were parked in front of this building here on Richmond Street West. Their girlfriend, who was sitting in the passenger back seat of their black Range Rover that belonged to Dylan's father, while she was in the back seat, she took the final photo of them that she did not want released, but the Toronto Police Service asked her if they could share the photo with the public and that they could solve this now 18-year-old cold case here in Toronto, Canada. And that photo was taken 3 minutes before an assailant came up to their Range Rover SUV that was sitting here with the engine still going, the windows rolled down, and music playing. An assailant came up to the SUV and stood in front of the car, and within 2 feet of Dylan, he shot him in the chest. And prior to the assailant coming up to the vehicle, the female passenger in the back seat said she heard Dylan look at the potential suspect and say, "Hey, how's it going?" And then a shot was fired, striking Dylan right in the chest here on Richmond Street West in front of this building. He shot again and missed. The female passenger ducked down in the back seat as Oliver Martin screamed, "Get down." The assailant then proceeded to the front of the vehicle and shot Oliver Martin in the chest. Andrew Gilchrist was on his way to this spot here when he heard the shots. He ran and found both of his close friends sitting in the SUV, slumped over. Both were shot at point blank range. The girlfriend in the back passenger seat made a call to 911. And when the Toronto Police Service arrived here, both Dylan and Oliver Martin were already deceased. In the past 18 years, the case has hit a brick wall in terms of no motive, no surveillance video, and no forensics pointing to a suspect or suspects. as I make my way back down south on Walnut Avenue. And the police have come up with some theories over the last 18 years. And one of the theories is that Dylan and Oliver were shot due to mistaken identity. Because the assailant would have been within 2 feet when he shot both the driver and the passenger in the Range Rover that July 13th, early morning at 12:08 a.m. There's no doubt in the Toronto Police Service's mind that the assailant did see both Dylan and Oliver's faces, but perhaps it was mistaken identity. They are also suggesting another theory is that perhaps there was some sort of incident involving the Range Rover that Dylan was driving that evening. Some neighbors who were looking down from the buildings when the shots rang out suggested that they saw a male running or riding a bike south from the scene of the shooting. Another theory that I read on Reddit suggested that perhaps this was a payback for something involving the fathers of both Dylan and Oliver. But as of 2026, this June 2026, there is still no substantial lead in regards to breaking open this cold case here in Toronto, Canada. And at the time of their murders, Dylan was 26 years old and Oliver was 25. They were both not involved in any criminal activity. They both worked. Oliver worked in the financial district here in Toronto, Canada. And Dylan was a photographer. So they were both doing very well in their chosen careers. They had a very solid friendship network as well as family network. So the police do not believe it had anything to do with their behavior because as far as they were concerned, they were very upstanding young men. And oddly enough, their close friend, Andrew Gilchrist, passed away 6 years to the day on June 13th, 2014. Andrew was found dead in his apartment of a drug overdose. And the Toronto Police Service says they spoke and interviewed all of the friends who spent that evening with Dylan and Oliver here on Walnut Avenue watching the NBA championship game. And they said they did not suspect any of the friends, but found it very odd that their close friend passed away on the 6th anniversary of their murders. And every year on the anniversary of their death, and this year, June 13th, 2026, it will be 18 years since their lives were taken. The Toronto Police Service is still no closer to answering the question that Dylan and Oliver's families want to know so that they can have closure, which is what happened and why did they get killed that evening here in Toronto. And there's still a tip line, and from my research, there is still a reward of $50,000 for anyone who can provide information in regards to their murders. But until that break or clue comes in, the murder of Dylan Elias and Oliver Martin remains one of hundreds of cold cases that remain unsolved here in the city.